What's going on, everybody? Welcome into 104.3 The Fans pre-game live. Cecil and Rachel Beal hanging out with you as we get ready for the first game of the preseason against the Dallas Cowboys. Cecil, how are you?
It's great. Football is here, and I cannot wait. I know it's the preseason. Preseason games don't count, but they do matter, and they matter for the younger players. And at the end of the roster, we're going to see a lot of guys get plenty of time tonight. And I'm excited to see if anyone stands out.
Who are you most excited to see?
Who am I most excited to see? Actually, Max Borghi. I said last night on Orlando and Cecil, is like, can he get 20 touches? I initially said 20 carries, and I was like, that's a little ridiculous. But 20 touches, maybe not as ridiculous because I don't need to see the starters. I don't need to see even Mike Boone, right? Because Mike Boone is the type of player that we already know what he can do. Will he get some time? Sure. But I want to see if Max Borghi can come through and make some plays. Exciting, promote a prospect, Washington State, go Cougs. So I want to know, is there something more there than people think? And that's what this preseason game is about. It's about changing narratives or reinforcing the drum beats that you've been dealing out all this offseason. For example, Romeo Doubs, Nevada 5th-round rookie receiver from Green Bay. He's been the story of camp. Like, oh my God, Romeo. He's been like Isaiah Pacheco for the Packers. Well, guess what he did in the preseason game? Went out there and had a touchdown. So I want to see like a Montrell Washington. He's been the talk of camp, right? We'll go out and have a touchdown. He probably will, maybe a couple tonight. So it's interesting to note who's going to show up, who's going to show out, and who's going to reinforce what we've seen at camp.
Calvin Anderson needs to have a big game. Otherwise, I think it's going to be, hey, Billy Turner, you need to come back really fast, or they're going to start looking. What do you expect to see out of him?
Yeah, confidence building. That's really this whole entire offensive line honestly needs that. Garrett Bowles needs it as well. Totally low maintenance Garrett Bowles. I don't need to see his palms to the sky. What did I do? Like, what you did. But this entire offensive line, they need work together, and they need to work together as one. So with Calvin Anderson, it's just building confidence, knowing that you are good, and knowing that just the Broncos pass rush is really, really exceptional. And, just some solid play. I want to see him take on a couple of different moves. Anderson is a left tackle, basically. So he's playing right, so maybe a little bit more toughness when he's run blocking, stuff like that. He should do that. He does that. Work on that a little bit more. But for me, it's having him catch a couple of different moves, being able to stand up to power. He can handle speed because he's an athletic guy. He's a left tackle. But having these multiple moves to go after and then counter them, stop them, and then build confidence within yourself. Calvin Anderson had 10 good days of training camp. He had 4 bad ones. The 4 were all at the end in a row, but they were below average. But build some confidence tonight if you're Calvin Anderson.
When you look at Max Borghi, what type of play do you need to see from him? Just consistent play, explosive play? What does he need to do to be able to make this roster?
Yeah, and it's that explosive play, right? It's any sort of work on special teams that you're going to get. Special teams are going to be really good tonight. I imagine the Broncos special teams, which has been a joke for years, I think it's going to be really good tonight. So if you're Max Borghi and you're known as a guy that takes it to the corner store, now, most of the time, I don't like backs that take it to the corner store, Rachel, because you have to be disciplined. You have to be what I call inside-out runners. You have to run inside, then bounce it outside. Philip Lindsay always did a great job of being an inside-out runner. He's a little guy. He could take it to the corner store, meaning bounce it outside, but he would plug it up in there, get to the linebacker level, then bounce it outside. So that's what I need to see from Max Borghi, who mainly tries to break everything outside almost as soon as he sees any sort of mud in the middle. Like, no, get through that mud, get through that trash at the line of scrimmage, get to those linebackers. Now you really got him, because Max Borghi puts a move on a linebacker and he's gone. So if he has one of those explosive plays, 30, 40, 50-yard runs, that's the type of thing that make you go, wow, maybe we need to find a spot for him. Because right now, honestly, he's on the outside looking in, but he's a talented player who could be worth a longer look if you're the Broncos.
Nathaniel Hackett was running stairs pregame as everyone kind of got in here for his first workout, but for his first preseason game, what sort of pressure is there, if any at all, for his first game as a head coach?
These coaches don't really coach in the preseason. Orlando talked about this on our show because he was coaching the 49ers, and I was like, did you have butterflies your first coaching game? He's like, no, we don't do anything. You don't really build a game plan. You're playing real vanilla. So it's like, okay, Cowboys play check whoop ass. Cowboys are a little bit interesting defense to go against because they actually don't have a designed rush. It's called check whoop ass. It's called get your block, look, and then try to beat your man. It's weird. It's undisciplined. It's why I have concerns about Randy Gregory, honestly, because he didn't play with discipline. He just played check whoop ass. So this is a little bit odd to go against this team, but most of the time these coaches just go, they play cover two. Here's your cover two beaters that everybody knows. And so you're not really calling plays. You don't want to reveal too much. So you're not really calling plays to stack it and have, and this offense, as we've seen, has echoes. There's a lot of rhyming to this offense where, like, you set up, it's a hook route, now it's a hook and go. And you want to get them on that hook and go. You're not really going to see that tonight. You're going to see pretty standard plays, pretty vanilla plays, maybe some butterflies from Hackett. But he's out there, he's getting his cardio in, getting his steps in. You know, he needs to keep that heart rate up and keep his energy going. So it's good. I don't think there's any pressure. Seattle game's pressure. Ton of pressure on the road against Russ's old team. The 12th man that they stole from Texas A&M. Like, yeah, I mean, a lot of pressure then. These 3 preseason games, almost zero pressure.
I'm really excited to see Montreal, Washington, though, hopefully at full speed, because you never know during training camp practices really what full speed is, and I'm excited to see that tonight.
Yeah, and he's got the type of speed. It's crazy speed. It's just crazy speed. Like, people shouldn't be that fast. They shouldn't be able to move that fast, and Montreal has that speed, and it's what makes him a interesting player, to be sure. You know, I think all of us should be excited about Montreal, Washington. I think Montreal, Washington has surprised everyone as a receiver. If you're claiming, and unfortunately, Rachel, there are people, you're probably sitting with some, that claim that they knew Montreal, Washington would do this. You're talking out of your ass. You didn't know that. You didn't watch Samford. You weren't watching Montreal, Washington in college. You just like everything the Broncos do. Like, listen, they took a chance on a guy that didn't think was going to get drafted, and he's been paid off. He's made him look real good. If you're George Payton, you know, you can have that star in your eye, twinkle in your eye, and that's from Montreal, Washington. He's done a really good job. Now he's going to catch 12 passes this year, 20 passes at most. But how do you use him? We will see it tonight. And that speed, you're right to bring it up. We may not have seen Montreal, Washington at his fastest. And that is scary and also kind of tantalizing.
What would be considered a great day for Montreal?
100 yards and touchdown, you know, kick return touchdown, something like that. I think it's more than just a tutty, as Zach By likes to say. I don't like to say that because I'm old, and I think it's like keep it 100. I'm too old to say that, or fire. Like, and by the way, my teenage daughters are like, nobody says fire anymore, Dad. I was like, good, because I never said it because I'm old. But yeah, I mean, a tutty, get him a tutty, but it's the way he does it, right? If it's a 3-yard touchdown, it's like big deal. It's nice. But if he breaks off a 90-yard kickoff return or whatever, like, that's really good. And he's got crazy, insane speed. And if you know, he's going to be going against third stringers, second stringers, fourth stringers. Guys are going to be selling insurance in 2 weeks. So, you know, he's going against a lot of real estate agents. Well, guess what he should do? He should check whoop ass himself, and he should have a big play, explosive plays, plural, for Montreal tonight.
It's not hard to be better than last year's special teams, but what would you like to see to be like, all right, we can really build off of this and have a good quality specials team this year?
Well, last year there were too many big returns. There are just too many missed tackles, too many missed assignments, too many guys that didn't want to play special teams. The nice thing about having this talent, and this is where George Payton gets all the credit. The nice thing about having this much talent is now you have competition because you can't just show up. Last couple of years for the Broncos, you could be kind of good. You want to play special teams? Sure. You could half-ass it, not really put your heart into it, and you'd make the team because they didn't have talent. Now, it's like I saw George Payton. I talked to him on Wednesday, and I was like, hey, George, you dropped something. Oh, that's talent. It's falling out of my pockets, right? He's that type of guy, and now he's chalked this team so full of talented players that if you're on this roster, you better be good at special teams. You better want to play special teams. So that's the type of play. Looks like we
lost Cecil real quick. Is he back?
I'm back. You're back. We lost you for a second.
Oh, you were spinning for me. Okay. Well, continue with what we were going there with.
And special teams being very, very important tonight. And I think it's just not giving up big returns, having great discipline. This is what a talented roster and a great special teams coach. I always say Jair Evero is going to be a head coach. So is Dwayne Stukes. And it might be a competition between the two to get a job pretty soon. This is a great staff.
I'm excited for it. We've talked to you about how you almost don't want them to be too good because you don't want to lose your coaching staff. But at the same time, if you are really good, then they're most likely going to go on to the next level. So it's exciting just for game one, preseason game one, to kind of see what they're made of, what some things that we're going to see possibly in the season two. But Nick Benito has been a huge talk for a lot of people too, Cecil. What does he have to do to prove that he's ready for prime time?
Here's your half-baked reference. This one's for Killer B, because I think the Broncos have killer bees in Baron Browning and Nick Benito. And Benito showing multiple moves. Now, he had, I would say, probably 4 really good moves. He's got a 5th and a 6th move, which, again, is rare. It's really rare for big men in the middle, but it's still rare for a college player. Most guys just out-athlete everybody. But with Benito, it's about stacking moves, knowing that if the rip isn't going to move, what's he got next? Where's his forearm shiver? How is he pulling on guys? How is he tugging? Your tug game's got to be tight when you're a pass rusher, because you have to get in close, kind of pull someone's momentum off, give them a punch in the gut, and get by him. Like with Benito, it's stacking those type of moves and knowing what move to do first. And if that doesn't work, being able to quickly go to a second move that will work and setting them up with footwork. It's very nuanced. So this is what you need to see from Benito. I already know he's fast around the edge. I already know he's quick around the edge. I already know that he pursues plays that go away from him. I want to see him stack multiple moves to get after the passer and get that pressure that we know that Nick Benito can. Again, looking like another shining example of George Payton's eye for talent.
Who has the most to prove tonight?
Oh, wow. It's the preseason. So if you talk about most to prove tonight, I would say it's probably one of those tight ends. Because we're going to have a pecking order at the tight end position. And it's not Alberto. I don't think Alberto has much to prove. Dulcich is going to make this team. Spoiler alert, he's not going to play tonight. But if you look at Eric Salbert, why'd you list him at 5th? I regularly don't pay attention to the depth chart. And actually, I kind of make fun of people when they're like, the first depth chart's out. I'm like, you haven't done this very long. Because Tyler Algier, rookie running back from BYU, 2nd-round pick, was the 8th string running back for the Falcons. He's going to be their starter. Okay. Him and Cordero Patterson. So it's like these depth chart games, they're so stupid. But with Salbert, it was like, why is he 5th? That's weird. That's weird. Eric Salbert should not be 5th on the depth chart. Now, maybe that number's 4 or 3, whatever, but it's not 5th. He's not the 5th best tight end on this team. So the pecking order at tight end will be very interesting to see how it's established, and that begins tonight.
We've talked a lot about Eric Sauber on Training Camp Live, saying, he's going to be a huge part of this team, but he, of course, has to make it first. So what does he need to do tonight?
Yeah, and Salbert is the type of player that just has to be sound in his assignments. And everyone who's a better blocker, actually, if you look at the catches, and there shouldn't be much, I wouldn't anticipate much, maybe Montreal Washington, right? But look at how they block. Look at how these receivers block. If you're Caden Davis, you want to make this team, go out there and block. Trey Quinn, go out there and block. Maybe you have 2 catches for 12 yards. But if you blocked your ass off, the coaches are going to notice. Fans won't. You're going to look at the box score and be like, they didn't do anything. No, in this offense, you need to block. So everybody that's catching passes, you want the glamour plays. That's the sizzle, right? But the non-sexy thing is blocking. So go out there and be as non-sexy as you possibly can, and that'll improve your chances of making this roster.
We pretty much know that Josh Johnson is going to be the backup QB, Brett Ripen most likely going to be the 3rd string. So what do you want to see out of them both tonight? And, for maybe Brett for a chance to possibly move up into that number 2 spot.
For Brett to move to number 2, he's got to do short and intermediate better than Josh. Now he does. He does. Josh has to be better on the short. Josh will go long. Watch a long one to Montreal Washington. Josh can do that all day, and he could do it really nicely. But it's the short to intermediate stuff. Stop having it out here. Put it right here, please. And Brett does that, but then Brett doesn't do the long stuff as well. So again, you could kind of combine them and have a really good backup. But what your weakness is for Brett, it's throwing deep. What your weakness is for Josh, it's throwing short. So show strengths in those departments and cement your spot as number 2 on the depth chart.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Pregame Live. Everybody enjoy preseason game number 1. Cecil, as always, love hanging out with you. And we will see everybody for halftime chill as soon as the final buzzer goes for halftime. And we'll see everybody then. Bye, everyone.